You know him, you love him, you want some more of him. The Voiceover Doctor, a real smooth talker. The Voiceover Doctor Show. It's the Voiceover Doctor Show. He will heighten the glory of your oratory, 'cause he loves you so. It's the Voiceover Doctor Show. He'll be helpfully coaching and then diagnosing all sorts of your voiceover ills. You will not be sloppy when reading your copy. You'll book enough to pay your bills. It's the Voiceover Doctor Show. He will brighten your day so much all you can say will be bravissimo. It's the Voiceover Doc. It's the Voiceover Doc. It's the Voiceover Doctor Show.
Welcome to the Voiceover Doctor Show, ladies and gentlemen. I am Bill Holmes. I am the Voiceover Doctor, and this is our Christmas edition of the Voiceover Doctor Show. Jing, 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 jing. That's all the budget we have. Okay, so I would like to introduce this man to the right of me. You probably all have seen him sometime. If you're 60 years old, you have seen this guy most of your life on television. You've heard his voice. It is the one, the only, the incomparable. Is that a real word? Robbie Rist, ladies and gentlemen. Robbie Rist. Everybody, please. Our studio audience here is applauding too. Robbie, welcome to the Voiceover Doctor Show.
It's a pleasure to be here. This is amazing.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, really?
I'm enjoying myself so far.
Okay, good. So now, Robbie, you were a child actor.
Yes.
And you're probably best known for the role of, why don't you tell it?
Cousin Oliver on the Brady Bunch.
Cousin Oliver on the Brady Bunch. We have an iconic child star here, and he hasn't killed anybody.
Nope.
He's not dead himself.
Nope.
He's actually here.
Nope.
And were you on heroin today?
Nope.
Okay,
Nope.
and he's clean.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So,
holy mackerel.
at least of heroin.
Okay, right. Okay, so we're going to talk. You've been in show business how long?
Oh, good heavens! Well, I started when I was 6, so I'm 48 now. So that's 42 years.
Me do the math. Okay,
That's 42 years.
42 years, a 42-year career, and still going strong, really, right?
Yeah, still working anyway.
Yeah, you've got things going. So we're going to get this interview started. But first, Robbie, as always on Christmas here, are you thirsty at all?
Oh yeah,
Would you like a little something?
Sure.
A little festive
a
beverage?
A holiday beverage?
A holiday beverage?
Sure.
Margarita. Margarita, could you? Yeah, Margarita's here. Could you come in, Margarita? This is Margarita, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Margarita. Look at that. Oh, you get a little peck on the cheek. Look at that.
That's very
Margarita,
festive.
everybody. Oh, look at. Oh, thank you. Look. Oh, and we have festive drinks. Look
Yes,
at this.
we do.
have the pomegranate margaritas. Well, did you make these yourself, Margarita?
I did just for you, Bill.
Oh, well, thank you, Margarita. Thank you. Well, that'll be all, unless you need anything else.
I'm fine.
From
Thank you, Margarita, by the way.
I mean, that
very
we can,
much appreciate it.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Anything.
And thank you, Margarita. That's Margarita.
Yeah, wow. Good. Very delightful. Working your way through med school?
Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely. Margarita.
Well, that's delightful.
Fruity. It's fruity. Margarita, did you put a little lip gloss in there, I think? Okay, all right. All right, so, well, this is fantastic. And for you people out there right now.
That working her way through med school joke was actually that she was acting doing it. You know, that I just want to make sure that was clear. I didn't want to come off sounding
no.
sort of like
No,
creepy or
not at all.
All right,
no,
fine.
yeah, she's working her way through med school acting. Okay, so Robbie,
yes.
Let me ask the first question here. How you said you started when you were 6 years old? I mean, I'm guessing, did you ask your parents to get into show business, or did your parents go, Lindsay Lohan, we are going to make money off of this cuteness?
I complained my parents into it.
Well, explain.
I was obsessed with the 1930s Universal monster movies as a kid.
Okay.
And
like Frankenstein.
Yeah, Frankenstein.
For all the
Wolfman,
kids
Mummy,
out
all of
there.
those. Yeah,
they're in black and white.
They're gothic and they're really, really good. The Wolfman, forget it. It's a great movie. So I'm really into these movies, and I started telling my parents that I want to be in a monster movie. I want to be in a monster movie. And, I was 5, whatever. I want to be in a monster movie.
And now if you know what, let's put a picture of Robbie up right now. This is what you look like as a child. Isn't that cute? Okay. Yeah. So you actually looked kind of like John Denver.
Oh, yeah.
The 1970s song stylist, John Denver.
It was strange because he was just kind of coming up, when I was, just, in a way.
But, I mean, you were cute.
I was reaching this age as, I was born in 1964, so, I'm 7 or 8 in the early 70s.
Right.
And John Denver starts having hits, and we would go out, as a family, and people would say, oh, my God, your kid looks just like John Denver. It was really coincidental.
Yeah.
And yet, it was.
And fortuitous.
Yeah. So
as your career went on.
After telling them that I wanted to be in monster movies, eventually just became I want to be in movies.
But what kills me is you're just cute as a button, but you wanted to be in the monster movies.
Yeah. And preferably in a monster capacity.
Right. You wanted to be one of the evil.
Well, it wasn't
like
so much,
you wanted to be Chucky, but a real boy.
I think it was. Yeah. I was. The Wolfman
if
movie.
Meg Tilly's out there, he still wants that.
The Wolfman movie with Lon Chaney Jr. There's something, I don't know, sort of tragically heroic about the guy that at 5 years old I was like, I relate to him somehow.
Really?
Yeah, totally.
So you were messed up at 5.
Oh, I was look, anybody who does this for a job is wrong somehow.
Oh, yeah.
There is something wrong with them because if they were normal people.
Yeah.
Okay, normal people don't do this. Bill, I have something I want to tell you, but I can't put it in words. So I've come up with this interpretive dance. Normal people just go, "You're driving me crazy," or whatever it is.
Do you still do interpretive dance?
Bill, I've been wanting to tell you something.
If we could pull the camera back far enough.
So they said, well, we'll take him on an audition, and he'll see how boring it is, and he won't want to do it.
Right.
And
do you remember what your first audition was?
Well, I don't remember the audition itself.
Okay.
But I do remember, I got the job.
Okay.
So the first audition I go on, I get.
A commercial?
It was a student film for someone that went to either USC or UCLA.
George Lucas.
And then wouldn't that be fun? I mean, there was a period in history where I sort of went through my, I ego searched my IMDb page.
Oh, yeah.
Just to see what the hell have I done. And I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I worked with Hector Elizondo. You know what I mean? It's like
that's the name he pulls out.
Hector Elizondo is one of our great American character actors.
Ted Knight. Ted Knight.
But
Mary Tyler Moore.
But Hector Elizondo was first.
Okay, all right. He was first. Well, okay, you brought up the IMDb.
Very festive.
I did a little research. I don't just wing this, Your IMDb goes back to 1972.
Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I just picked some iconic, my favorites. I mean, you had so many on there. Love American Style, The Brady Bunch, of course, Lucas Tanner with David Hartman, for all you people my age, The Bionic Woman, okay, Mary Tyler Moore Show. You were Ted Knight's adopted son on the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Yeah,
okay,
that's pretty crazy. That's an amazing. The Brady Bunch thing I say all the time is very. It's super iconic. I mean, it's part of our It's part of our national fabric almost.
Yeah.
But the one I'm really proud of is Mary Tyler Moore because that's like, I don't know.
It was a good show.
No, that's not it at all, Bill. No, that's
I'm not implying that the other shows weren't good.
But there is a difference between the Brady Bunch and All in the Family.
Oh, yeah.
And I put Mary Tyler Moore more in the All in the Family category.
Right.
You know.
It was a show that actually had social purpose. Mary Tyler Moore.
Well, that's an interesting way of wording it. Sure. It has.
I mean,
how about this? It was mostly for grown-ups. How about that?
Well, it was, but really,
what it
really, in 1970 is when that show came on. I don't know why I know that, but I do. What are my kids' names? But
I don't know where my car keys are right now.
But the idea that a woman would go off on her own, and you're gonna make it on your own,
right, sure.
okay? And not want to get married. I mean, she wanted to date and she wanted a relationship,
sure,
but she wasn't depending on it.
What's hilarious?
That was really a big deal.
What's hilarious about that is that social change, and a lot of it, if you look at a lot of 70s TV, Good Times, All in the Family, look at all of the stuff. It's all about all of these these crazy changes that were happening in our culture. And, women sort of, that darn birth control pill. I tell you what trouble it started. Now they have jobs. Good Lord. Some of them vote. Jeez.
Oh, but when is the Viagra series of the 2000s going to hit?
Oh, that's a pitch for a new show. It's a sort of 50-something-year-old guy who has just gotten a subscription or a prescription for Viagra. He's getting back in.
Yeah, well, Hugh Hefner.
Take a nothing day. Just little montage scene.
I mean, truly, that's kind of Hugh Hefner's life, really.
Kind of is.
He's engaged again. I just heard on Letterman that he's engaged again. You were on. You went from Mary Tyler Moore to Lou Grant.
I hope Madonna is not doing what Hugh Hefner's doing when she's his age. Just sort of being Madonna still. Well, what I mean?
But I mean, she doesn't have a penis, so I don't think that. Yeah. Galactica 80.
I was in the bad one.
You were in the bad one.
I was in the bad one.
You've told me stories of this before.
Yeah, I was in the bad one. Like, what is Battlestar Galactica? But Wagon Train in space.
Right, in space,
and
yes.
the thing about Wagon Train is...
Wagon Train was a series in the 1950s and early 60s about cowboys for the kids.
It's about a wagon train. So... the wagon train never reaches its destination.
Right.
That's kind of the point of Wagon Train. What happens in Galactica 1980? They find Earth and stay there. Now what do we do?
It's just not working.
And I was replaced.
You were by who? Do you remember?
I was replaced. I learned very hardcore life things.
Yeah.
I think at earlier ages, one of the things I think about entertainment and being a kid in entertainment is, entertainment is like dating a really wonderful person who you have all this connection with, and you're just excited to be around them. Yeah. And the problem is they won't stop having sex with all your friends. That's what being in entertainment is like. You're like, oh my God, this is so great. If only you wouldn't do that. So wait a minute. Are you saying that people are having sex with my friends? I never even conceived that. If you're in the entertainment business, the feeling is the same.
Dave, put your pants on. Dave, put your pants on. Dave behind the camera.
So now you completely threw me off. All right. Oh, entertainment.
Yes.
Okay. So I learned these lessons young. Like when I was. One of my first jobs was The Girl with Something Extra, which was a...
Sally Field, John Davidson, right?
Davidson was in it? Oh, my God, I worked with John Davidson.
He was the husband, right?
That is so cool.
The dimple guy.
Yeah,
and she was clairvoyant. She could read people's minds.
You're killing me. Okay, Mr. Popular Culture, so I was in the pilot.
Of the 70s.
I was in the pilot, and they had an intro and an outro. And I was in the intro and the outro, and by the time the show aired, my character was edited out of the intro and the outro. Right? They didn't have enough time or what have you.
Yeah.
But nobody told me.
Were you supposed to be their kid or something?
No, I was the
because they were newlyweds. They were newlyweds.
I was like the wacky neighbor.
You were the wacky neighbor. Yeah. You were Dennis the Menace.
That's kind of what I am in
Sally
life.
Field.
I am the wacky neighbor.
You were the wacky neighbor. I mean, we've worked together, and I'm like, oh, here comes Robbie again. Oh, right, we have a meeting. Chips. Love Boat?
Chips, yes.
Love Boat? Okay. I want to go... We're kind of on this track already.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Everybody...
But the thing is, and I had told all the kids at school that the show was going to air and all of that stuff.
And then
it just,
you were
and
how
the next
old?
by Monday I was like 7.
7.
Yeah,
okay.
and Monday everybody was like, "You weren't on TV." I was like, "But I did the."
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut off your story.
You know,
Yeah.
but I meant about having like that's an entertainment thing that only happens to older people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, usually.
Like, as a young kid, it's sort of you go, oh, that happens.
Yeah, not to try to one up you. But
Yes.
my youngest boy, Ian.
Yes.
His first foray into show business, he was about 9 years old, and he actually booked a job to be the voice of the baby elephant in Jungle Book 2. Okay, and it was just supposed to go to video, and it was no big deal. But we signed, documents like crazy, to get him in this thing and stuff. And he goes and he does it. And like, animated films, they take a year or two to finish them. And now they say they're going to take it to the theaters. They liked it so much, it's going to be in theaters. So we pay for the tickets, and we get all of his friends, and it's time to go. And the baby elephant comes on screen, and he opens his mouth, and it is not my boy Ian. It's not Ian at all. And here's Ian with his little popcorn, and he's looking at it, and he's just like,
oh yeah,
like this.
yeah.
And he looks up at me, and I look down at him, and I said, "Welcome to show business, buddy. Don't quit your day job at 9."
That's exactly
so that was kind of his
exactly
realization. And if you notice, my son is not in show business anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, he wised up. I was like, it's only an isolated event.
like you, he went into music.
It'll never happen again.
And then it just happened last week.
Just happened last week.
So let's cover the Brady Bunch here for a second.
Sure.
Okay, because people ask you about it all the time. I mean, you go to the conventions, you do all this crap with it. I see on Facebook you still talk to Susan Olsen and some of the kids and stuff. Do you have? I mean, you worked on that for how long?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. So that was 6 weeks out of your life, and it has lived with you until your middle age here. I mean, just comment on that. What is that like to have something that you thought was kind of a summer job?
I don't know.
That would be like I'm working at the Dairy Queen, and then when I'm 48, people go, "Hey, you're the Dairy Queen guy."
Oh yeah, totally.
It's like, oh yeah, back when I was 16.
It's a weird bit of. I mean, I know other guys who were my age who were young actors back then, and they were on television shows, but for some reason, those television shows, while people still may know what they are,
right.
It doesn't have the name recognition that the one that I was in.
Well, do you think it's the Sherwood Schwartz thing of Gilligan's Island, the Brady Bunch, that he just put those out in the reruns and it became popular culture? Or?
Well, but, I don't know. Donna Reed is still in reruns, and people aren't going, "Oh my God, I watch Donna Reed all the time," unless they're you.
Well, yeah. I was really in love with her in It's a Wonderful Life. I mean, come on. Who didn't love Donna Reed in It's a Wonderful Life?
And also in her own show, I think she was one of the first to bring sarcasm to
the
television.
Because
her delivery was very much always like, "Jeff, why don't you go to your room?"
Yeah.
Everything was sort of like a little threatening.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so, this thing I was in, it's lightning in a bottle, and here we are however many years later, and we're still talking about it. I mean, it's crazy but awesome. How many people get that in their lives, where they get a thing, I mean, somewhere, it's I don't know. I've had more than one, though. I've been kind of lucky. I've had a couple of things that sort of hit kind of hit the culture, but in a way it's sort of like it's my hula hoop. Somewhere, some guy made some money, got some recognition out of it's for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just a piece of wire.
That goes around people. But so it's just a random lightning strike thing, but I really appreciate it.
The question I think that everybody out there is wondering is, did you do it with Marcia? or Mrs. Brady even? You know, did she have some kind of a kid fetish? something. There it is.
No,
there
let's
it is.
see.
No, you have a... Okay, go ahead.
Oh, please, let me answer this question.
I'm sorry, maybe Greg. Should I have said Greg?
Under ordinary circumstances...
He was Johnny Bravo at one time.
Under ordinary circumstances, when people ask... They will recognize me from the show.
Yes.
And they will approach me.
Yeah.
And they will say, oh, my God, I've always wanted to ask you this question.
Yeah.
And I hear that one.
Yeah.
Which is not, this is not the first time that that's ever happened. Usually I respond with, if you're going to ask me a question, you have to ask me one I've never heard before.
I can't believe somebody thought of that before me.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. I have been asked if I'd had sex with everyone in that cast. And I did.
Well, Mr. Brady, we kind of knew.
You know.
So.
Tiger, everybody.
Tiger. Okay. Yeah. Okay, all kidding aside.
Yes.
Is there a favorite story from the Brady Bunch that I mean, a favorite memory?
Sure.
That actually you enjoyed about
Of course. Susan broke my face.
Susan broke your face.
Susan broke
She
my
threw the
face.
football and hit you in the nose?
I don't get what.
Marsha.
I never
Brady.
watched the show.
It's a Marsha.
Oh, it is? Okay. It's so funny, Brady.
It was in the movie, too.
Brady fans ask me questions about the show, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Don't really watch the show.
Can we talk $6 Million Man? Because I'm all over that.
And you were in it. Were you in that?
No, Bionic Woman.
Bionic
Woman. Oh, and
Lindsay Wagner.
good Lord.
Gorgeous,
So,
gorgeous.
Yes,
woman.
indeed. Sort of, yeah.
I'm guessing Bionic Woman was during puberty time for you.
No, a little under. Under.
Okay.
Yeah, I was probably 9 or something when I was on those.
I mean, she certainly went through puberty because she was bionic. Go on. Tell your story.
I don't remember where I am again.
The Brady story.
Oh, Brady's. Oh, yeah, because Susan broke my face. In the back yard of the set, there was a teeter-totter.
Oh, right.
And Susan and I used to get on it, and we discovered that if the person on the bottom let the teeter-totter hit the ground,
right,
rather than just sort of going there, the person on the other end
would bounce up. Yeah.
So we were doing it, and Susan was getting a little air, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever! I want to be the guy on the very top! So we kind of, and she does it, and I go sailing over the bars and land face first on the teeter-totter and slide down at her. If you watch the last couple of episodes of the show, you will notice there's this big carbuncle on my face.
Really?
Yeah, because I still
were the producers and what,
everybody was
angry? Were they angry?
Oh, that was. I mean, it was.
Is that one of those moments where
everybody
will nail your feet to the floor if you don't behave?
Actually, just everyone went, Susan, what did you do?
Oh, okay. So they blamed her. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you were kind of the little brother on the set.
Oh yeah, totally. Because I was 9. You have a 9-year-old running around. That's what you got.
Because at that point, she was probably about, what, 11 or 12? I'm guessing?
Yeah,
Okay.
something like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years older than me. Hilarious, though. She broke my face.
Now, what I didn't mention is you know what? I'll tell you what. Let's take a little break. We'll go back into some stories here in a second because you have such a varied career and such a long career that we have a lot to talk about. So we're going to take a little commercial break and
there's commercials?
Yeah, there's commercials because this is oh, can you get in on that, Dave? Here, get right in on that. This is what we're selling these days. This makes a great stocking stuffer. It's an audiobook version of A Christmas Carol, radio drama version of A Christmas Carol, starring my friend Robbie Rist here. He's one of the characters. Who did you play again?
Fred.
You played Fred, okay. So now who is Fred again?
Fred is Scrooge's nephew.
I really should have read the
You should have read the script.
before I directed it. So please go out and purchase this. It makes a great stocking stuffer. They're not that expensive. Go to voiceoverdoctor.com and order yours today because we got to pay the investors back. Okay, we'll be right back after this.
This holiday season, bring home a new twist on a timeless story. Introducing an all-new radio drama, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Relive the classic tale featuring the voice talents of Maurice LaMarche as Scrooge, Rob Paulson as Cratchit, Neil Flynn, Robbie Rist, Quentin Flynn, and introducing Elon Garfias as Tiny Tim. A Christmas Carol, produced by Shane Salk and William Holmes, directed by William Holmes. Order your copy today at Amazon.com and the iTunes Store.
Oh, that was great. Oh, we're back. Okay, so please buy your copy of A Christmas Carol today. All right, so we were talking about the Brady Bunch. You know, screw the Brady Bunch. We're done with that. We're done with the Brady Bunch. Something I hadn't mentioned in the beginning was you were also in, we're jumping ahead to the 80s now, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Actually, that's the 90s.
The 90s?
Well, 91, you know, something like that.
So, can you tell, here's something I didn't watch.
Yeah, it kind of was under your radar,
So,
I'm sure.
So you were Michelangelo.
Yes.
In the live-action version.
Live-action movie, yeah.
Of which one?
All three.
All three?
Yes.
All three, okay.
I'm the only one that's in all three, you know.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if that means anything. I can't seem to turn
I
that into
did not know that.
I can't seem to turn it into any cash or anything. But I mean, I was in all three.
So I'm assuming you're in the ones right now that they've got going. I mean, I'm sure they called you back, and I'm sure that.
Remember that thing about entertainment?
Yeah,
you know,
no,
how a person you love very much won't stop having sex with your friends.
But you're not in the cartoon thing. You're just in the live action.
Just the live action.
Okay, so. I was curious as to, and our listeners are curious as to the audition process for that, because now we're kind of, you know, I am the voiceover doctor. We're kind of getting into the voiceover realm here now.
Well, I just called in to read on it, and at the time, you know, I don't know, how old am I? I'm in my late 20s, early 30s, something like that. And I'm doing a lot of, you know, teenager voices and
a lot of surfer dudes
and stuff like that. So my name is on that list.
Right. Yeah.
So in I went, and all I really did was an impression of all the guys I went to high school with.
Oh, okay. So there was some thought behind it.
There's totally who Michelangelo. Oh yeah, no, because you know of the graduating class of 1982, they are the people who invented VowelSpeak. The whole dude, gnarly, bitchin', all that stuff. Yeah, that was my generation of people. Yeah. You know, there were girls from Encino that were doing the Valley Girl thing that's in that song.
Right, yeah.
That had been going on for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that Moon Zappa came home and, you know, sort of was doing this impression around the house of this girl who talks goofy at school, and it became this whole thing. But yeah, I mean, Fast Times at Ridgemont High is, for me, a documentary. Because those are all the people I went to school with. It's just so so I was basically just doing an impression of all the guys I went to high school with, and they went with it.
Now, was like Haim Saban at the
no Saban had nothing to do with that.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah, that was Golden Harvest, which was a Hong Kong company.
Oh, okay.
You know, and they liked the thing, and now, I mean, arguably, my name is the one that comes up when they talk about, you know,
Michelangelo.
Yeah, it's like it's me and Townsend Coleman usually,
right?
You know,
because Townsend did the cartoon.
Yeah, that's a talented dude. He's crazy, good.
Very talented. And Rob Paulson.
All those guys.
Yeah,
crazy. Cam Clark. Yeah. You know.
So
there's you know, what's crazy about voiceover is when you're in a room with the guys who really know how to do it. It's slightly intimidating.
You know what though?
It's just like any other sport or whatever. Probably your first day. You know, I mean, it's also fun as amazing.
Fun as hell.
But you know, your first day probably playing an NBA game, is probably like, oh Jesus, that's Kobe. Oh, you know what I mean?
Oh my God, look who that is! Look
you know,
well, it's kind of like at the Olympics when the other teams are going up to the USA team saying, "Can I have your autograph?"
Yeah, totally.
You know, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But you know what though? I'm going to embarrass you a little bit, like I haven't been doing all day.
Did I have sex with Rob Paulson? No.
Well, you know, everybody else in town has. I would put you in that category, not of having sex with Rob, but of being one of those guys that you work with too.
Well, I appreciate that.
Because when I you know met you, when I first met you, you were still a pretty young kid, and so was I. But you know, I looked over, and you were one of those guys to me. And having worked with you over the years, I would totally.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, one way or another, I still walk in and I go, oh my God, it's that guy.
You know what's funny too though is
oh my God, it's Richard Horvitz.
Because when we worked with Maurice LaMarche and Rob Paulson on A Christmas Carol, which you can purchase at voiceoverdoctor.com, it was interesting to talk to Maurice LaMarche and Rob Paulson and the guys you're talking about, because they tell the same kind of story. They walk in and they go, oh my God, I'm working with so-and-so, and oh, this guy is so great. Oh no, you're great. And it is kind of that showbiz thing, but I really think it's very genuine from guys like you and Maurice and Rob, when they go, I love working with this person so much.
Well,
and I feel that way too, directing all you guys.
Any art, any art thing is about the relationships of everybody involved. It's a synergistic exercise.
Yeah.
And, people who can kind of get in there and not be conscious about being good, they just sort of open their mouths and it happens.
Yeah.
It feeds the entire room. And then, and if anybody else is, even close to being in that realm of ability, it becomes something that it gets really exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, I could only imagine what it was like playing in Buddy Rich's band when it was good. You know what I mean? And everybody's like looking around going, we are really good. Oh my God.
But I'm sure they were all frightened of Buddy.
Of course they were. And, we're all frightened of Maurice LaMarche.
Had a bit of a reputation. Well, that's cool. That is cool. So, all right. Well, have we covered the turtle thing?
Sure, why not?
Yeah? Did you have a favorite story from the turtles?
One of the turtles broke my face.
Now, how ironic is that?
I know. You would think one gig it's
we were
weird.
on his teeter-totter. And oddly enough, I was in the costume.
Yeah.
The other show, now you're on this other show now. It's called Doc McStuffins.
Yes.
And this is a big hit on the Disney Channel?
Disney Junior.
Disney Junior.
Well, it's a big hit on Disney Channel, too.
Okay, all right.
But
So tell me about that show a little bit.
It's the story of a little girl who is a doctor for toys. And it turns out...
It's a story of a little girl playing doctor? What the hell kind of crap are you doing?
It's called Doc McStuffins, you tell me.
Okay. Man, if that title's not out on the shelves over at the Hustler store in like 20 minutes after this show...
It's been discussed. Thankfully, the show is for 3 to 7-year-olds, so...
that's even sicker.
Chances are they're not going to go, that sounds like porn, I just don't see that happening.
But I digress.
It's a little girl who's a doctor for toys, and whatever the toy has could be something that a child might be dealing with. So there's one about an action figure, knight character who's afraid of
testosterone,
afraid of needles.
Afraid of needles.
And needles are necessary if you go to the doctor, and so the whole show is really about. It sounds dumb, but it's true. It's about empowering little kids.
Oh, really?
It's about taking their fear away, and it's one of the things that I'm most proud of that I've ever done because it serves a really good purpose.
Yeah,
it's so kids don't have to be scared of something.
And again, that was the audition process. Was you?
I read for it and forgot about it because that's what I do now.
Kind of what you do.
I read about it and forgot about it.
Not because it's a good thing to do. You're just getting older and you forgot about it.
Yeah.
Hey, drink up.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, but do you know where my car keys are, by the way? I'm not leaving here. I think. I think that's kind of the longer... Actually, I think it's a powerful tool to be able to read for something and walk away from it and just go, my performance was then. I'm not gonna do my audition in the car afterward.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing like that. The idea is to get to the point where you throw it up on the stand and you go, boom. And if it's good enough, it's good enough.
So this is how I see it.
It's in the hands of the fates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Margarita,
yes,
our little Margarita gal, she is actually a real nurse in real life. She's a nurse. And I didn't know that. When I told her you were going to be on the show and I asked her to come in and be Margarita, she actually told me that she loves your show because she's a nurse for communicable diseases. And she said, there are shows about that. Wash your hands and do this and do that. And she says, oh, my God, it's such a good show because she works at Children's Hospital. And she basically says the kids in the hospital watch that show a lot, and she refers them to that show. So that does kind of go along with what you said. It's kind of
it serves a really good purpose. And you know, I mean, look, if I could get involved with a show that could make grown-ups' fears go away, I'd just sign me up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just anything like this. It helps people out. And apparently, the main character is black, and apparently. A whole bunch of black doctors have formed a coalition called I Am Doc McStuffins, and they're I think they're using it to like sort of draw attention to the fact that young girls, especially young black girls, can be doctors themselves.
Yeah.
Apparently, the doctor one of them who spearheaded the thing was telling the creator of the show that. When she was a kid, she wanted to be a nurse. And her mom knew this woman who was a nurse, and they went there to ask her, well, I want to be a nurse. What do I do? And the nurse said, why don't you want to be a doctor? And she went, I can be one?
Wow.
And it was the first time that it ever occurred to her that a female, African-American, could actually be a doctor.
Right.
And now she is one. And they're black doctors are a real small section of the population of doctors.
Yeah.
But they think that this show is going to cause a bit of a spike.
Yeah.
Which is like again,
which is good
how
though.
Awesome is that?
Apparently, Mary Tyler Moore's show was not working good enough, so we had to go to Doc McStuffins.
You got to get him young, you got to get him young. But I think that's it's a really beautiful.
I think
thing.
in this day and age, that's crazy that a kid wouldn't think that. You know what I mean? Because
they're getting mail from boys saying, "Can I be a doctor?"
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, isn't somebody talking to these kids?
Yeah.
Good Lord, you could be an astronaut on the moon. Be a fireman on the moon.
Math and science, kids. Math and science. Stay out of show business.
You know what the problem with that is?
What?
Especially when you are a young performer, you are always putting on plays for the cat. You are always, hey mom, I'm gonna lip sync to this. You're doing it anyway, and it's not gonna change. There are guys that be Lara Jill Miller, who is on Doc McStuffins, one of the voices on it.
Oh,
she was on.
I did her demo years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
She's really good. So she was on Give Me a Break, one of those, the Nell Carter Show. The Nell Carter Show.
Yeah.
And she walked away from show business, became a lawyer, and shortly thereafter said, the hell am I doing? And now she's back in entertainment. The problem with art, the problem with entertainment is in that relationship thing that we're talking about. It's always going, come on you
back.
Know you want, you know you love this.
Well, I mean, both you and I teach, and a lot of our students are those people who go, I've always wanted to do this, and I went and I did this, and now I'm, teach me how to do this again. So, and we'll touch on that a little more. Let me ask you this: Did you, as a kid actor, did you go to an acting school? I took
some cold reading.
Okay. As a kid or
as a kid.
I'm not talking last week.
Yeah. I thought at 48 I would start.
Yeah, maybe somebody knows something.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know everything about acting. Maybe I'll take a class or something.
No, I mean, as a kid, did your parents enroll you in?
I took some cold reading, and I think there was probably a reading for commercials class when I first started. Yeah, it was that kind of a thing. Yeah. And but the thing is, I got the first job I went on, and then I got the second one.
Right.
And, because I did the student film, and I told my parents, I'm like, we really should look into doing this again because that was really delightful. So. And they were like,
I could hear you saying that as a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Dad, we really should do this again. Puff, puff, flick.
Again. And they're like, oh, no. Like, my dad talks about this sort of like this feeling of, oh, no, we're going to have to do this. And I got the second one, and then the third, and the fourth. And by the time the fifth one kind of threw me over because I didn't get it. And I was like,
what the hell?
Don't you just get these things?
Yeah.
Isn't that how it works? So... And then I was by then I'd done like a Nestle's Crunch commercial, and I was like, you know, I was starting to make money at it, and somehow that's tied to what we were talking about. Never mind, it'll come back. Where are my car keys?
Oh my God, I forgot too.
I know.
No, I was talking about were you in acting school?
Oh yeah. So, but a lot of it was just, you know, I mean, I was working, so apparently my parents thought I was doing something right.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you think it helped you somewhat that they didn't mess with you, that you didn't go to acting school? Because, you know, it's kind of like playing golf.
Mm-hmm.
I used to hit that ball just straight as an arrow until some guy said, you know, I can correct your swing. And as soon as he corrected my swing, I sliced like crazy. And then I was like, well, what the hell was I doing before? I've lost it, you know.
I think it goes both ways. It goes both ways. Sometimes I do wish I had
more of a formal training,
a little bit more of a just early on, just some basic stuff. You know, because you know the truth of the matter is, when it comes to I don't know building a character or whatever that is, to me it's a completely backward ass kind of way of doing it. I don't really have a formal process. I just sort of it's the way I'm an audio engineer. I'm not an audio engineer. I push buttons until it sounds right.
Right.
And so, but I mean, I've also learned. I've learned a bunch since.
Right. No. And but even in that sense, it's trial and error. You try this, it doesn't work. You try this, it doesn't work. So you are probably unconsciously asking yourself those questions.
Oh yeah,
of all
totally.
the acting crap that everybody, you know, like
right. And I've been around. I mean, I think it just probably would have helped me primarily in my 20s. You know, basically when I was really starting to. You know, at a certain point, as a kid, you're just kind of memorizing the words and not bumping into the furniture without really thinking of any sort of, you know, as we get older, we think of all these ways to deceive each other.
Well,
you know?
yeah, all the substitution.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. And so I didn't have a whole lot of that when I was in my 20s. And, you know, I mean... I flew by the seat of my pants for so long.
And that was pretty much the beginning of the end for you, wasn't it?
And prayed nobody would look at me and go... You don't know what you're doing, do you?
But every actor thinks that, though. I mean, every actor thinks that.
And I'd have to go, no, I don't. I'm sorry.
I remember one time
you had to see that.
I crashed an audition for Zorba the Greek in Chicago.
Oh, yeah, you're perfect for the lead.
Well, exactly, right? You know, because I look
like
so
John Denver.
Greek. Yeah. And but I sat there for 4 hours. I walk into the audition. I get on stage. You know, I find my light. And the director goes, hello, Bill. And I said, hello. He says, can you do a double pirouette? And I said, no. And I left. that was my audition. Because I thought to myself, yeah, I can't fake my way through this one, you know. So there ended my musical theater career for Zorba, at least.
So you're a little cross between John Denver and John Davidson.
A little bit.
If you put those two together, that's,
you know, get out there. I once did a musical.
That's been stewing in there for like 15 minutes.
I once did a musical about Ann Landers.
Really?
Oh, let me tell you, it was a hit in Chicago.
By the way, you danced ever in things?
I always, but I always said at the auditions, I said, I'm an actor who moves well. I never said I was a dancer. Yeah. But no,
it's a good way of wording it.
I can cut it. I can cut the rug if you need me to, buddy.
Just can't do a double pirouette, apparently.
Okay, look. Why don't we take another commercial break, and then we're going to talk about more of the things you're doing now, and your music career and things like that. So we'll be right back. Oh, after this message, because we're going to talk about this at the next segment, ladies and gentlemen. This is a film, our film "Stump the Band," that Robbie Rist is the executive producer of, and he is also makes an appearance in it. Maybe we'll show a clip. Maybe Dave, on the way in, Dave, we'll show a clip, Robbie's clip, before we come back in, of you in Stump the Band.
Yes.
But please, it makes a great stocking stuffer, and we go to the website. I've knocked the price down. We've got a lot of these units to get rid of, folks. Okay, so it's a great holiday story too.
Sure, it is.
I think so.
It warms the heart.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll be right back after this. Stump the Band.
Did they like the demo?
I wouldn't be here if they didn't like it.
So they're gonna sign it.
I make recommendations, not decisions.
I've got a southern roll.
They're the hottest new band around.
Always in bloom.
They're like the Go-Go's on steroids, man.
Inside my underwear.
And 2 days away
Call me when you get to LA.
from the biggest break of their careers.
I've got more meat than you.
blah, blah. Let's get the hell out of here.
I'm telling you, ladies, we'll be releasing our first album within the year.
But one wrong turn.
What was that?
I think it was a dog.
Will change everything.
Just get back in the van, guys.
Where are we?
I don't think this road's on the map, Gilligan.
Looks like you got us lost, Marianne. Elaine! Is somebody there?
Take Billy for a walk.
Let's get it, Billy! They came out of nowhere! Those freaks!
You guys just stay in the van, all right?
Whoa, Phil Spector! Where the hell did you get that?
Oddly enough, Phil Spector.
Brace yourself
Shoot 'em!
for the first ever rock and roll horror comedy chick flick.
Looks like your little friends are up to something. If you catch her, you can keep her.
I'm not going down like this. Neither are you.
I'm gonna go get your girlfriend.
We all have to go sometime. It's not so bad dying. Some of us have to go soon.
We're a band. We stick together.
Stump the Band.
Mother used to say, take care of your feet, and your feet will take care of you.
Going to the gig? Don't forget to bring your axe.
It's not so bad dying.
Well, it's nice to see you haven't given up on your dreams of MTV fame, Stevie Nicks, but we got...
And we are back. Please don't forget, purchase Stump the Band. That was Robbie Rist. That was your little scene.
Yeah.
Stump the Band. Your Hitchcockian
You actually said, you should take one of the bigger parts, and I'm like, I've been acting for such a long time. And,
So you're the fry cook.
So I'm the fry cook who gets beat up.
Okay.
By them.
So in celebration of Stump the Band, Robbie, and to let everyone know that I sell shot glasses, it says that I took a shot with the VO Doc. I thought, I have a bit of a reputation for tequila. Yeah. And so I figured what you're gonna do here is we would just in celebration of the Jew and the Christian together.
Oh, yeah, no
Why
doubt.
can't they work together?
We can.
Over there in the Middle East.
I know,
Okay?
we
But
can.
here we are. So
Yeah.
Merry Christmas and
Indeed.
L'chaim.
Very festive.
Show me the glass.
There you go. Here you
Hold
go.
it up. Give me a second. Okay, I'm gonna go in. Okay.
No. Whoa.
Aye.
All right. So that was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And for you people who don't know, it's about noon.
Yeah, no problem. But you see, there are upsides to this whole. See, that's part of that whole love affair thing that I'm talking about.
With
you have
the career.
afternoons free,
You got a lot of time to kill.
Yeah,
a lot of booze to drink.
yeah, sure. Invite other actors over and complain about the business, and it's great.
Now you and I obviously we produced this film together.
Yes, we did. Stump
And
the
it's
Band.
this little horror film that you came to me with this idea.
I prefer horror comedy.
Horror. Well, it's a rock and roll horror comedy chick flick.
Yes,
Is how we're pitching.
it is a female empowerment story.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
And you can rent it on Netflix, but we would so much rather you buy it from us. Because boy, we got a lot of units. to move.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, we'll briefly tell the story. You came to me with this idea.
Yeah, my buddy Fletcher Roden was at a certain point. I was talking to a guy who makes low budget films, and he said, and these movies are like $10,000 a piece.
Sure.
He says, so this guy will give me $10,000 and a video camera.
Which is very reasonable.
I got to go off and make a movie. And for whatever reason, that deal fell apart. But my buddy Fletcher wrote a screenplay for it, and we were all ready to go. And then the thing totally went away, and it just sort of sat around. Mm-hmm. And then at a certain point, Bill and I were at Ribs USA in Burbank.
You and me and Bart Flynn.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Bart Flynn was there.
So and. We were all sort of, as actors will do, we were sort of bemoaning our station in the pantheon of the industry. And
I didn't even realize I was doing that.
I basically said, everybody's making independent movies right now. I got this script lying around, and it's a horror movie. Why don't we,
Yeah.
Why don't we make it?
You want to do it for $10,000?
Yeah.
I was like, no, I
He
don't want
wants
to do
yeah.
a movie for $10,000.
So I told him the plot, which is a female rock band that gets attacked by 3 guys who collect women's feet, and Bart Flynn.
Well, no, you went into more detail.
Oh, I did?
It was this guy catches these girls, cuts their feet off, and rapes them until they bleed to death.
Oh yeah, there's that.
And I kind of went, ugh, oh God, I don't want to make that movie. But Bart Flynn was sitting next to us, and he was going, nice. I would totally watch that movie. So it made me think, well, there's an audience out there, you know.
But by the time it hit the screen, though.
Well, we watered it down quite some time because I have a daughter and I don't really want to promote rape. Oh, cutting off people's feet, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, my kids can do that.
Yeah.
In fact, I think my youngest son does, to some extent. So basically, we went out and we
took some money out of my house.
Right.
And off we went into Wisconsin and Illinois and chased people around with
and we
axes.
shot this movie. And it was a hellacious experience and a fun experience.
It's crazy that it has... albeit small, it has an audience.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I get emails from people saying, "Hey man, I recently saw this thing. It's hilarious." Great.
I mean, we did have a distribution deal. The distributors
we had 3 distribution deals.
The distributors were less than honest.
Yeah, you know that relationship thing I was talking to you about how we made this movie, right, and it was all really great, and then the whole distribution part of it was like, why are you having sex with all of my friends?
Again, that whole sex thing throws me off. But anyway, it does kind of have a life of its own out on the internet. There, there's a drinking game involved.
It has its own drinking game.
It has a drinking game, so we're quite happy with it.
Yeah.
And the behind the scenes film that we made along with it that you get on the DVD extras is quite interesting.
Actually, I would say if you're a fledgling filmmaker, young or old, but starting to make movies, listen to the commentary track on Stump the Band because it's fun. It's an education in making a movie.
It was very much kind of like this show.
Yeah,
we were drinking then too. So which pushes me into the category of, your acting career kind of stalled on and off at times, and as a young child, you were also quite a prolific musician.
Yeah,
as well. You started playing the violin, I believe you said.
Violin at 3, piano at 5, and then guitar at 7. Yeah,
and I mean, do you know how many instruments you play?
Yeah.
Pretty much all of them? Or?
I play, well, if it's got strings on it, I can figure it out.
The oboe? Like if I pulled
wind
an oboe
I don't do wind or reed instruments. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't do anything where I have to do this.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. I just think that's weird.
Yeah.
No, actually, eventually
You're
I will.
a hands-on
That's
guy.
total prototype instrument stuff, though.
Yeah.
If you think about it, horns are old.
Yes.
Because really, how do you operate a horn? You go
you into it
into something.
And it makes some kind of noise. And then drums, I would say, were...
Yeah, definitely around that time.
You are like one of the best drummers I've ever seen, one of the best bass players I've ever seen. I mean...
Thank you.
You do amazing stuff.
Thank you.
And in fact...
By the way, because when in entertainment, you have downtime.
Exactly.
And when you have downtime, you can either use it destructively or constructively.
Yeah, it's like pick up a guitar, smoke pot.
Yeah, totally.
And you
sometimes you can do
combine
both. You can actually make both happen. I think that's delightful.
No, Robbie actually scored the film Stump the Band. That's one of the reasons you wanted to do it as well.
Sure.
And you were the music supervisor on it, and we discovered so many independent
found lots of really great indie female fronted bands.
Yeah.
There was overall, I think it was an amazing experience. I mean, if you think about it, some people go to film school. We made a movie.
Yeah.
And
which won 7 awards.
I learned so much making Stump the Band.
Mm-hmm.
Just, the amount of levels, it's staggering.
Right.
On a personal level, when you have to work with, 40, 50 people all at the same time.
Right.
It's complicated with 2 people.
Yeah.
Keeping a team like that together and making that, so I learned a bunch about that. I learned how color correction works. I learned, everything. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, it was a hell of an experience.
Yeah.
But again, it pushes me into, you have been producing music for how many years now?
forever. I've been recording things since I was a kid.
12?
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have a studio in Woodland Hills?
Yeah, I have a studio.
What is your studio?
Valley Holla.
Valley Holla?
Valley Holla.
And that's in Woodland Hills.
It's
Do you have a
Woodland
website that we can put the thing up?
Just find me on Facebook and
Facebook,
if you need,
Robbie Rist on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And just find me. We'll talk about that. I cherry pick what wool I work with at this point.
Right.
Because I want kids. You know what I mean?
Kids.
Right.
Oh, those kids, like those new kids on the block and, those in-sync people.
But yeah, no,
you don't want to be working with people like that.
But like you, I do VO demos out of there, and I produce bands, and I teach out of there, and all of that stuff too. Someone told me if you're going to be in the entertainment business, don't specialize. Meaning, like if you want to be an actor, don't just be an actor. Know how to do 5 minutes of stand-up. Know how to do improv. Know how everything else on the set works. All of that stuff. Don't do one thing.
Yeah.
Don't just be an actor.
Well, I mean, that's kind of how we became good friends. Was I was in an improv group,
right,
with a guy named Mark McCracken.
Right, McCracken.
And we were doing a show, and you and Quentin Flynn and Bart Flynn came and saw the show.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying, "Yeah, I've always wanted to do this improv thing." I'm like, "Well, fuck, Tuesday nights we do it."
Mm-hmm.
And we were with a group called the New Barbarians.
Yeah.
With some of the greatest character
Avery
actors
Schreiber
in the
was
world.
in
Avery Schreiber, Stu Nisbet, Marvin Kaplan, Al Molinaro. We're all doing this thing. Again, nobody knows those names that we just...
Yeah, look them up.
I see the blank look on Gio's face over here.
No, Gio. Al Molinaro?
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Happy Days?
Yeah. No.
Never watched Happy Days?
He's 4 years old, Robbie.
You're in the entertainment business. So those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it.
But that's how you started coming to that, and you introduced me to JoJo Henriksen and all the people we did Stump the Band with. So I appreciate that. So you were in the '80s music scene mostly, right? How many bands are you in right now?
Well, I'm only in a couple now, but I mean, I've been playing regularly with upwards of like 7 different aggregations of musicians, doing things all the time. But that's been some time. Now it's I've slowed down. I'm an old man now.
I hear you.
No, but I have. There was a period in history where at some music festival, there was one every year, and bands would come in from all over the world.
Yeah.
And sometimes they didn't have a bass player, or sometimes they didn't have a drummer. So I became the guy that if they were coming and they didn't have a guy showing up, they'd be like, "Can we use you?" "Yeah, sure." So I'd rehearse for 3 hours with him and play with him that night, and I did a bunch of that. So
actually, I may have a gig for you on New Year's Eve.
I'm there. Let's go. I'm all about.
A friend of mine's looking for a bassist.
Right.
And then we shot. You gave me my first directing job by asking me to direct 2 music videos for a band you were in called the Mockers.
The Mockers, yeah.
And that was again my first foray of directing.
Both of them wildly successful.
Yeah, they ran on MTV in Spain.
Yeah, and YouTube. Had tons of hits on YouTube. I mean, it was big during. It was a Bush era thing.
Yeah.
The Emperor Strikes Out.
Yes. Mola Guayo. Can they find those on?
Yeah,
on
you can find them on YouTube.
So what do they punch in? Mockers.
The Mockers, and then the name of the 2 songs: Mola Guayo K, MOLA, and then the other one is The Emperor Strikes Out. Check them out. It's pretty funny.
Check those out.
And Bill actually has a cameo in The Emperor Strikes Out, and
which you'll never know.
And I will give you $1 if you can tell me which one it is.
Okay, careful.
I know.
Now my kids are going to call you and say, "Hey, I told you who he was, asshole. Now give me the money." So now you also, I want to, we're going to wrap this up here soon. So I want to plug the things that you're doing now.
Okay.
You have your own
internet radio show
podcast.
Yes.
Called The Spoon.
Spoon.
And it's on
NewDissidentRadio.com.
NewDissidentRadio.com.
But you can also find it on iTunes. You can also, and they're free. You can just download them.
And you're kind of in the process of redoing something.
We're
right?
retooling the live thing, but the archive is up, and we've got it'll take you a while to catch up. Don't worry.
Right, and
we
you
got
could
a
have
bunch of
Chris
shows
Jackson and Tom Bowers.
Yeah.
Okay,
And, yeah.
Chris, I would really like you to come back with Chris sometime.
Oh yeah,
and because I've appeared on Robbie's show and Dave's appeared on Robbie's show.
Yeah.
I would love to have the two of you come on because
Of course.
the chemistry you guys have, I think, is
I
really
think the
entertaining.
Spoon has. I think you get something from our podcast you don't get from anybody else, whatever that is.
No, I mean it is a clusterfuck of just everything that you can think of
it's
to
like
talk about.
This, what we've
well,
been
yeah,
doing.
exactly. Yeah, very much.
we like at one point a guest said you should toy with the idea of calling your show Tangents. Because God forbid we should ever finish a point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But it really, I mean, a lot of people wouldn't guess this of you. They don't know this about you, but you actually have a very high IQ, and
couldn't tell by looking at me.
No, not
really.
at all. But that's what I love about you is you are really one of the most intelligent people I know.
That's really nice of you.
Well, it's a fact. I mean, Robbie Rist,
come on,
really
tell
intelligent. Bill Holmes, I know the theme to the Mary Tyler Moore Show. So
that's a form of genius.
It is sure.
Don't sell
Okay.
yourself
Yeah.
short.
All right. Mary calls me all the time. No, but my point is your show has those very intellectual conversations about a lot of newsworthy topics.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, when I come on, we fuck around, we do Paul Anka impersonations and stuff. But I've heard several of your shows, and you guys get into some really deep conversations about entertainment and politics and religion and the whole thing. And you throw the jokes in. I mean, that's all well and good, but it's very. I compare it to kind of a freeform daily show kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of wording it.
Yeah, because I mean, Daily Show is more structured. They write things and they come up with those things. You guys are coming up with it. I mean, several times Robbie will just call me up and go, "Hey, what are you doing in 15 minutes? I don't have a guest.
The studio's up the
over."
street.
And we're like, I say, "Well, what do you want to talk about?" He's like, "Yeah, we'll talk."
Yeah, just something will come up.
Yeah.
Well, also though, the thing is, having we try to have people on who know how to play.
Yeah.
Be it someone who professionally knows how to play like you, or somebody who's just goofy and whatever comes out,
or has like Dave Burgess over here behind our camera. Dave's been on the show, and again, I listen to the shows that he does with you, and you guys talk about just
completely different things,
such interesting things that nobody else really knows.
Well, I do. I think you get something from the Spoon you don't get anywhere else.
And that's what the show should be. That's what I mean. That's what I like. That's what I like about these things.
Yeah.
I really don't plan this out. I know a lot of people figured, oh no, it's very good choreographed. No, not at all.
It's kind of stiff.
But see, I like the spontaneity of I don't know what you're going to say.
I believe that reckless abandon has been sadly left out of a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think all kinds of the fun that we have out there in the world now is very scripted fun, and this is everything from go see some live band. Everybody is just like, I have a friend who is a road manager for a very successful touring act.
Yeah.
And the last day of rehearsal is when the band shows up.
Yeah.
Everything else is button pushed here. It's all very scripted.
Yeah.
There are no moments for wow.
Yeah.
And I think that I think it's happened to something like Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And things of their ilk where there is no reckless abandon. There is no spontaneity.
It ain't the days of John Belushi anymore.
Everybody. I believe everybody got scared of being spontaneous. Everyone got scared of it was sort of like keep it safe. It seems like we've gotten, in our entertainment anyway, safer and safer and safer as time goes on. I watch movies and I go, yeah, that's a nice way to go, but you didn't have to.
Right.
Will
kids,
we see Taxi Driver again?
The kids these days, they have this thing called the YouTube.
The YouTubes, I know. Yeah.
And the old guy like me goes to the YouTube and he watches all the old live television from the 50s and 60s. I watch all these old Jack Benny shows and stuff, and it's fascinating to watch what I mean. They were screwing up to millions of people. And that's what it was. If you screwed up, you screwed up. But that, in my opinion, is what made it entertaining.
And I'll go in a direction with you there.
Yeah.
On Lucas Tanner.
Lucas Tanner, starring David Hartman.
Yes. The guy who played the principal on it was a guy named John Randolph. And you know John Randolph too.
I know exactly who he is. Yeah.
So John Randolph told me a story. It's crazy. I got told all of these things when I was a kid. And, we talk about, like, my education. Like, when I said about us making a movie.
Yeah.
Some people go to film school. We just made a movie. Some people go to acting school. I was on sets all the time.
Right. You were kind of the Ron Howard.
Yeah. So John Randolph tells me this story about he was on a live television broadcast of The Invisible Man. Mm-hmm. And at a certain point, The Invisible Man is supposed to say, stay still, I've got a knife in your back. Mm-hmm. And what they had done is there's a piece of wood taped to John's back, and there's a knife stuck in it.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to, there's a knife in your back, and he's supposed to turn around, revealing that there's this knife sticking out of his back with no hand,
right.
right?
Yeah, because he's invisible.
Right.
The Invisible Man.
So he's...
Now on Regis Philbin.
He delivers his line, and the knife falls out of the piece of wood. And it's live television.
Yeah.
So he now has to cover for the fact that there's no knife in his back, while the effects guy is trying to get it back into the piece of wood in his back. So he's like, I feel the knife in my back. How do I know this isn't Johnson? You're kind of a funny guy, and but that sort of spontaneity doesn't exist anymore. And I think you have to be a real badass actor to not have that throw you over.
Yeah, exactly.
Jimmy Fallon's a really funny guy, but I found myself watching his work on Saturday Night Live going, I mean, we did that in high school.
Yeah.
Break in high school.
And just for the record, and this is only my opinion, Jimmy Fallon is not a funny guy. So... But again, I've said that about a lot of people, and they all have Emmys on their mantle.
When I was 17 years old, I saw this band play, and I was like, "These guys are terrible. They're never going anywhere." And they were called Motley Crue, so I totally know what you're talking about.
I picked them up in a limo when I drove limos in Chicago, and again, they're like, "Hey, driver, could you put some rock and roll?" Because I used to listen to jazz in the limo. You put some rock and roll on there, and I just turn around and I go, "Aren't you guys into jazz?" They didn't think that was so funny.
Oh,
didn't get a big tip. Are you performing anywhere, Robbie?
I perform all of the time, but
musically speaking,
I perform all the time, but I never know when.
You have the regular Thursday night.
Sometimes I have band members that'll call me on a Thursday, and they'll be like, "So what time are we there tonight?" And I go, "There."
Well, that's the drugs. Yeah, that's the drugs.
No.
Now you and I are going to occasionally sing the '70s tunes.
Yeah. So every Thursday, Red Balls Rock and Roll Pizza in the Promenade Mall.
And do we know what made the balls red?
I do something. Hey, it could have been blue. Okay. Thank you.
I'm just curious. So, I'm not sure I want to eat that pizza.
So I do every Thursday night a thing called KTEL Thursdays. And I play 70 songs, and people are welcome to come up and sing.
And sing with you.
Yeah, and they can sing from the audience. The whole idea is I like to hear an entire, restaurant of people going, "I can't smile without you." That to me is Shannon has got arms about a dead dog. Oh.
Yeah.
So great.
And that's Thursday nights.
Thursday nights.
Red Balls.
Rock and Roll Pizza.
Rock and Roll Pizza. Really?
In the Promenade Mall in Woodland Hills.
Have the large pizza with the red balls.
Or
it's great.
Delicious. Woodland Thrills.
Woodland Thrills. Okay. And now the last thing before we wrap it up, because we've gone way over time. I'm sure this is the longest Voiceover Doctor show I've ever done. You teach animation.
Yes.
And well, you teach everything.
I teach commercial.
Really.
I teach
commercial, animation,
promo, whatever.
Where do you do that?
I do it out of my place, or I'll come out to you. You just
right.
You know.
Okay, so and you're going to be teaching here at Compost Productions.
Yes.
On December 12th and the 19th.
Yep.
We're calling it the mini workshops. And I've only invented this so Robbie could come and teach because I love working with this man. I have nothing but respect for you, Mr.
That's very
Rist.
sweet. Thank you.
You frustrate the shit out of me.
God.
All the time.
Wait a minute.
But
Don't you
I
know?
love you more than
on
life
my email
itself.
thing that gets sent out, it says my name and then my email, and underneath it says a dream to some, a nightmare to others.
There you go.
Yeah.
And
I got
you fall into both of those categories.
I got it from
me.
Excalibur.
So where can they reach you for teaching?
Once again, just find me on Facebook.
On Facebook?
Yeah,
That's the best thing? You don't want to give out an email address?
I do. trash24713 @AOL.com.
Okay.
That's trash24713 @AOL.com.
There it is. It's going to be on the screen there. Okay. So hey man, would you mind? There's a guitar behind you.
Yeah.
To your right.
Yeah.
And it's tuned. And maybe we could go out with a little Christmas number. Do you know anything on the guitar?
Well, let's see.
Go ahead and grab the guitar.
Hold on. I don't want to destroy the guitar.
Okay.
That's not tuned.
No, it is.
Is it?
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's see. Is it something?
Dave, do you really think that I didn't plan this out? Come on, Dave.
It's kind of tuned.
Oh, careful, because Ron tuned it.
Just approximately, kid.
That's Ron McCoy, everybody. I guess Ron's getting a little old, you know. You, moi, moi.
That's better. Oh, that's horrible.
That was just mean.
I know.
What do you got?
Well, I don't know. What do you got? What do you want?
Well, you start and I'll jump in.
I don't know how
a little Christmas tune. What do you got?
Christmas goes. A little Christmas tune.
Or any song that. What about a 70s K-Tel?
70s K-Tel. I'm thinking we should have a Christmas song.
The Christmas song itself. Chestnuts.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
Yuletide carols being sung by a choir. And folks dressed up like Eskimos. That ain't bad for just winging it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, how's that?
Take us out on whatever your favorite 70s
My
tune.
favorite,
This has been the Voiceover Doctor Show. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Robbie Rist.
Got no money, her clothes are kind of funny, her hair is kind of wild and free. Oh, but love grows where my rosemary goes, and nobody knows like me. She talks kind of lazy, people say she's crazy, and her life's a mystery. Oh, but love grows where my rosemary goes, and nobody knows. That's about good.
Oh, okay. Robbie Rist, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning into the Voiceover Doctor Show. I don't know when the next one will be, but who the hell cares? Thanks a lot, guys. I'm sorry it took so long, but we're putting this whole fucking thing on. Okay. All right, buddy. Thanks, Robbie, for coming.
That was
Thank
awesome.
You. Okay. Good night, everybody.
You know him, you love him, you want some more of him. The Voiceover Doctor, a real smooth talker. The Voiceover Doctor Show.
Sing a little something. Come on.
Let's see, what was I saying? There's an old spinning wheel in the parlor, spinning dreams of long ago, spinning dreams of an old-fashioned garden, and a maid with her old-fashioned bow. Some sometimes it seems I can hear her in the twilights, while the organ's softly playing Old Black Joe. There's an old spinning wheel in the parlor, spinning dreams all long, long ago.
Ron McCoy, ladies and gentlemen.